And I've got Rotus joining me here on the show this morning. As always, we'd love to read your messages. 0809 440 and you can also tweet at smooth981. The hashtag is Business Express 981. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Zibby. Good morning to all our listeners out there. Good to be with you all again today.
All right. So we've got a few things to talk about today, but I believe we're starting with the president being expected to sign the 2023 budget today.
Yeah, that is correct. Ahmad Lawan said that the president will be signing the budgets today, 21 trillion naira budget by the president, signing that into law. Remember, the budget cycle is now, January through December to make things orderly. And yeah, he's going to be signing that hopefully today. And it's a little late. Should have signed it back in December. But, still very early in January. Remember, though, there's a large deficit in this budget that has to be padded by borrowing. And, with respect to debts, we're not even touching on the ways and means financing that's higher than the budget itself. There's, talk of whether or not this budget is big enough for a country of our size, but baby steps. We got to get that thing signed first and then let it be official. And then we now do the even harder work of trying to, fill in the difference between the deficits, which is supposed to be like, I think 8 trillion or almost 10 trillion this year by borrowing even more. So yeah, the president, we're expecting him to sign that later today.
All right. And let's go on to the next conversation area that we're looking at.
Yeah, look, one of the areas of the budget is infrastructure. I think there's 5.9 trillion is what is being budgeted for capital expenditure. And that is supposed to beef up and improve Nigeria's infrastructure. When we think of Nigeria's infrastructure, we think of roads, think of bridges, we think of, even internet, improving our broadband penetration and so on. But our infrastructure deficits came to the fore yesterday when, of all people, Burna was talking about how infrastructure impacted his show in Lagos. He kept people waiting for about 7 or 8 hours. And, people were booing him when he came out. He was, talking about, why he was late. But I thought he finally put out an apology. And I was, of all things to pop up, it was infrastructure. I mean, it was really, really interesting reading his apology to he says, Lagos, I love you, but I can't do this again. The organizational structure and infrastructure is not there for the complexities of my audio and production needs. So let's be clear, I wasn't late. My band wasn't late. We pride ourselves on being highly professional, especially with our stage craft. He said there were 3 options available to me: wait for audio to be fixed and delay the show, come out at 11 p.m. as planned with no sound, or call breach of contract and pull the plug. It says, I know I can't go all over the world and neglect my own people. So I'm taking matters into my own hands. I'm gathering the troops to work on building world-class infrastructure in the Nigerian entertainment business. It says, investors and stakeholders interested, please hit me up. We need to make some changes. So when you've got Burna Boy himself saying that he's going to have to build this stuff himself, it's almost like a bank building a road in front of its building, or think of any business that needs to carry out its work and having to build the actual infrastructure that's needed, where government has no role in it. So, again, when you think about why these artists spend time touring overseas and they hardly ever tour here, this is one of the reasons. And another reason is beyond the infrastructure is just simple price. I was looking at Burna Boy tickets for his other shows that he has. I believe he has a show in France later on in May of this year. Then in June, he has a show in the UK. And let me see if I can forward this to you. Hope you don't fall back in your chair when you see these ticket prices. These are prices for his show in Paris. Let me forward this to you. Okay, so I've sent it to you on WhatsApp. There's a couple. There's a floor plan for his show in Paris, and you'll see that for one of the tickets there, there's 4 tickets, depending on how close you are sitting to the stage. 4 tickets are available for $376 a ticket. There's another
for one ticket.
Yeah, for one, $376. That is starting from $370. There's another one that's depending on the angle you're sitting at, another one from $625, depending on how close. I mean, just to put that in perspective, $376 times 740 is 278,000 naira. That's for one ticket. Then the 676 times 740, that's about 500K. So I mean, the average Nigerian, he doesn't even play here for those kind of ticket prices, right? They have to reduce them because of the purchasing power. Wizkid, I think he made me headlines by giving away a free show or something during this Christmas period. So there's a lot, the infrastructure deficits when you're now adding music artists here, and an artist is now saying that he's reaching out to investors, and he's reaching out to for them to reach out to him to build infrastructure that can support his type of shows. There's a problem. So it's just another reminder that Nigeria just has to get it right, because we call these artists our own, we claim them, but for all intents and purposes, these guys are all foreign artists. Your Thames, your Wizkid, your Burna, they perform overseas. They only come here for Christmas. That's it. They don't really perform anything anywhere else, any other days, maybe Easter, I don't know. And the ticket prices, they make way less money here than they do overseas. So it's something that we really have to, it's something we really got to attend to.
I'm curious about this, though. Speaking about this infrastructure that Burna Boy is speaking about, this should be privately owned and managed infrastructure between the venues, between the promoters, and between the team of whichever artist is performing, right?
Yes, so he called out the organizers, which I think was a really big blow. He mentions them by name. I can't really remember what they're called, but I think he says, I think Wonder X.
I see a familiar name on there. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. He mentions them and says that they did an abysmal job of executing anything, and my fans should never have to go through that. So that's a real big blow to their brand.
A huge indictment, really.
Big indictment. So, there's that whole issue of organization as well, because Burna Boy will not be 7-8 hours late, or is it 4 hours or 5 hours late at an event, at a show in the United States or Europe. I don't remember any headlines being made of him being late at any other show outside. So that's something that we need to really look at. So there's a number of things. So where you've got to have better organizers, you've got to have better infrastructure, and you've got to have the type of stadiums. This is where the infrastructure comes in. World-class stadiums, not only where sports teams play, but stadium like the O2 Arena in London now. I mean, that doubles as an arena for different events, not just concerts, right?
Yeah.
So artists that used to play at Wembley. Wembley Stadium is for football, but is also used for concerts. So those are the type of things we need. But then even beyond that, look, these tickets I'm showing you in Paris. France is a $3 trillion economy, 3 trillion with a T. Nigeria is barely $440 million. The GDP per capita for the average French citizen is about $45,000 or $44,000. Per capita GDP in Nigeria is about $2,000. So, and then he's going to play in America, he's going to play in the UK. He plays in venues where people can afford to pay him, top dollar for his tickets. But here, where he's from, unfortunately, with inflation, with poverty, with all these things, the average Nigerian can't pay him that kind of money. So there's just a lot to be said where you've got, it's almost in a funny way, I won't call it jackpot though, but it's like he's had to make his money outside of his own country in order to continue to maintain his status. And it's not just him, it's every other artist you can think about.
But do you think there is a part of the artists who perhaps are not being as responsible as they should? Because if you're going to play at a venue, you want to make sure that everything is spot on, and you need to, or you and your team or someone from your team needs to go look at the area, see that it's good enough for what you want, and, have things like sound check. So if these artists are not doing these things and then they're showing up 8 hours later and blaming one person, it also shows that they also failed in their part to do what it is that they needed to do.
Yeah, very true. I first thought he was just making an excuse, looking for somebody to blame for being late. But the way he put things together and the way the argument that he made.
Got a good team.
Yeah, exactly. So unless the promoters now, to save their own brands, unless they come out and say, oh, he's lying, he's not telling the truth, everything was set, we'll have to see what happens. But there is a responsibility for the artist to make sure that all these things are, at least the artist team, his manager and so on and so forth, to make sure everything is set. So again, it's just another reminder that we got a ways to go in terms of, making sure our own artists that are from this country are able to earn the kind of money they can earn, and also making sure we can put on a good show.
All right, so we've got about 30 seconds. So I'm going to read out a few messages really quickly. This one is from Ogene Ochuku, and he says, my worry about the budget is its implementation, especially when you have the padding aspects. The government should focus more on human capital, like food and housing, and allow the private sector to invest on the infrastructure. And this one is from Benga. Benga says, good morning. The irony of the president signing the budget is that he will leave office by May, so it's his successor that will carry the can to December, despite not having any input in it. And he says, don't mind Burna Boy. Others have performed before him. He was just putting up excuses. I do not believe him. He has a reputation for bad behavior when it goes to shows in Nigeria. And that is from Benga. All right. Thank you for your messages.
Thank you. Appreciate your messages very, very much. Zibby, thank you. I guess I'll catch you guys tomorrow.
All righty. Have a brilliant day ahead. That is it for Business Express. Do stay with us. There's a lot more to come on Smooth Breakfast. Express on Smooth 98.1.